What is up, everybody? Welcome back to very few live editions of the Social Media Mindset Podcast. And so this is episode 111. It's unbelievable that we have made it this far. Thank you for listening, or I guess I'm amazing for just having not quit a very average podcast. I don't know what the truth is, but I'm titling this podcast, Start Talking About What Matters Most. And here is why I believe this is so valuable in my life and my story, right? Many of you listening to this, many of you watching the live broadcast right now, you know me for who I am today. A social media expert that serves realtors and lenders, a speaker, right? I travel around the country, blah blah blah, all that good stuff, right? And so if I just take the stage as this version of me, I rob people of who I actually am, because who I am today is just a percentage of who I really am, because I'm a culmination. I am the complete version of everything that's happened to me leading up to now. And so if I'm not careful, guys, I spent 9 years as a pastor, and I've now spent 9 years outside of church ministry. So I have spent the exact same amount of time in the church as I've spent as a business person. And so if I'm not careful, I could just start taking the stage. I could start introducing myself to people as, hey, I'm Kyle Draper. I'm a social media expert. Who cares? Nobody cares about that. That's not powerful to anybody. Nobody woke up today wanting another social media expert in their lives. And just like you, nobody woke up today needing another realtor in their Rolodex. Nobody woke up today needing another lender in their Rolodex. And so if all we do is focus on what we are now, we are robbing people of the full version of ourselves. And so what I want to spend this episode talking about is, how are we leveraging our stories to make an impact in our business? Because what I believe to be true, at least what I've seen true for me, is that I really feel like business comes second to trust. And here's how I know this. The reason I know this to be true is when I have sales calls and I start trying to have a conversation, and they jump to, hey, man, I just need to know how to get started. What they are saying is, man, we don't need to do this song and dance. I already trust you. I've already looked you up. So-and-so had great things to say about you. I just need to know how to get started. But when I talk to somebody that may not quite be ready to talk business, it's because they have more questions. And so what I've seen happen for me is, when I tell people the journey of, I used to be a youth pastor, and then I started a roofing company, and then I owned a company building websites for realtors, and now I'm a social media and marketing guy. People are oftentimes drawn to the pastor part. And so they have questions about that part of my life, not the current part of my life. And so here's why. This is why I'm doing this episode, because the story I'm about to tell you broke my heart. And there was so much power in what happened this day in Austin, Texas, that I think we need to have a conversation about. And I hope, and really I'm praying, that this story will be an unlock for many of you that listen to this, that you have convinced yourself that you are boring, that you are less than, that everyone else is better than you, everyone else has a more interesting story than you. And so you are robbing people of your journey. And so a couple months back, I was in Austin speaking to a large real estate company there. And there's this woman sitting on the front row that I was kind of talking about your story. And what's up, Travis? And I was talking about, the power of your story. And so I just asked her, I said, hey, how long have you been in real estate? And she said about 6 months. And I said, wow, that's awesome. What did you do before? And guys, I kid you not, those watching the video will be able to see me, but those on audio, guys, think about the times in your life where you have felt so small. And so I watched this young woman just sulk her shoulders and like her chest kind of caved in. And she goes, I was a stay-at-home mom. And she answered that question as if that is so horrifying, right? Like she answered that question like someone had convinced her that, oh, you don't want people to know that. You don't want people to know that 6 months ago you were a stay-at-home mom. And so guys, I would call these Holy Spirit moments where like Pastor Kyle comes out and I just kind of grabbed hold, metaphorically of this woman. I wanted to grab her physically, but we get in trouble nowadays. So I just looked deep into her soul and I was like, think about this. Who is more passionate than a stay-at-home mom? Who is more disciplined than a stay-at-home mom? Who is more sacrificial than a stay-at-home mom? Who will fight a grizzly bear to protect the people they love better than a stay-at-home mom would? Like all the things that are going to make you an unbelievable realtor are because you were an unbelievable stay-at-home mom. And so never again allow yourself to be convinced that you are less than because you didn't come out of 20 years in corporate America and now you're bringing all that to real estate. And guys, I could look around the room and there were tears in people's eyes, right? There was emotion everywhere as people began to realize, oh my gosh, I am robbing myself of the power of my story. And so this is what this episode is all about. And so for each and every one of you watching this, listening to this, I want you to think about, are you taking advantage of the one thing that nobody can compete with you with? Your story. What is your story? Who were you before you got into this industry? Who have you become over time because of this industry? That needs to be a part of your story because, guys, I kid you not, I get so much business because I'm willing to talk about that I used to be a pastor. And so if you and I believe very similarly through our religious experience, through our faith journey, you instantly trust me more because I said that out loud than if you just saw me as this social media expert guy that you don't know from Adam. And so we've got to remember that business comes second to trust. We've got to create rapport with people. And so what I want to do, and I appreciate you guys that are hanging out live with me and putting stuff in the comments. I'm not going to talk to you guys because I don't want to ruin the experience for the people that hear this podcast in a future week. But thank you so much for hanging out. I want to give us 3 things for us to really think about in regards to our story. And the first one is very simple. You need to start championing your story. Be a champion of your story. If you're a realtor, rework the sales presentation that you show up with at a seller appointment. Instead of making it all about your awards, all about the accolades you've received, make it about your story. I used to early on in my speaking, and I don't know why I got away from this. I need to probably add some of this back in, but I used to have 6 to 8 slides in the beginning of my talk that in about 2 minutes, I could rattle off who I was, what I was about. There was a picture of me preaching. There was a picture of me and my wife and my 2 kids. There was a picture of our dog. And then I would show a slide of all my favorite sport teams. I would show a slide of the teams that I hated, and that would always get a lot of roar from the crowd. And then I would have a slide with people on it, and I would talk about that my greatest passion is in serving people. And in a 2-minute window, what I was able to successfully do is, if you were a parent, we related at a deeper level. If you were married, we related at a deeper level. If you were a dog lover, we now relate at a deeper level. If you go to church, we relate at a deeper level. If you love the Cowboys, we relate at a deeper level. And as weird as it sounds, when I would put up that slide that says, I hate the New York Giants, I hate the New York Yankees, I hate the Philadelphia Eagles, you know who would come up to me afterwards? Philadelphia Eagle fans. And they would give me a hard time and go, man, I really wish I didn't like you, but I do. Man, go Eagles. And so, guys, as weird as it sounds, by showcasing the things I hate, it still allowed me to pursue a deeper connection to the people that loved those things. It's unbelievable. We have such a thirst right now to just feel connected to people that this has the ability to be your superpower moving into 2023, is let people in on who you are as a person. If you love cigars, put a picture of you smoking a cigar in your buyer's packet. If you love wine, put a bottle of your favorite wine as a picture in there. Like, give people ways to connect, because this is what people are looking for. And this is also the difference. Don't miss this. If you begin to leverage your story better, you will move from just doing transactions to receiving referrals. Because if you make the transaction all about the transaction, you are creating transactional relationships with which rarely duplicate themselves. But when you lead with relationship, well, now you're going to have friends that'll refer you 10 times over because you gave them the opportunity to go deeper. And so this is what we're robbing people of. When we just show up and we show them our award, I'm the rookie of the year, we sold 84 properties as a team last year, blah, 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 blah. You're going to walk out of that room and they're not even going to remember your last name. And so this is powerful, guys. We have to champion our stories, because your story is incredible. Why? Because it's relatable. You don't need to have this unbelievable story. My story isn't awesome. I used to be a pastor. Who cares? But a lot of people do, because a lot of people may not know somebody that used to be that profession, right? So champion your story. The second thing is this: tell it more than you think you need to. No one gets more bored of our story than we do. And so if I'm not careful, I will stop telling it because I'll feel like I just told it. But if you're using social media correctly, if you are adding new friends, if you're connecting with different people, that means you're always adding people to your group, to your influence, that may not know who you were 10 years ago. And so what if once a quarter you did a video where you just jumped on and were like, hey guys, if you've known me for forever, you don't have to watch this video. But if you're new, I'm so excited that you're here. I'm so excited to get to know you better. And so I just wanted to share a little bit of my story today, and tell your story and watch people feel connected to you. I had a boss when I was a pastor that he would always tell us, if you don't say it every week, they're going to forget. And so when I would lead meetings for our volunteers at church, I would always have to remember, I know I said this last week, but they forgot. They've lived an entire week, since then. And so I've got to keep this in front of them. We've got to keep our story in front of people if we want our story to make an impact in people's lives. And so we've got to champion our story. We've got to tell our story more than we think we need to. And then, guys, here's what I think is the cherry on top. We need to be better at asking people about theirs. We need to be better at asking people about their story. One of the most powerful things that we can do is set people up to talk about themselves. That's what everybody loves talking about more than anything else, is themselves. And so when you're around people moving forward, when you go to a networking event, instead of asking somebody, hey, what do you do for a living? What if you ask them, hey, what did you do before what you do now? That's an interesting question. That's going to create some dialogue that they're not used to talking about, because instead of just going, well, I'm an insurance agent and da. Well, now you're going to get them to have to go, oh man, what did I do before insurance? Nobody's asked me that in a really long time. The moment we ask someone something that they don't get asked regularly, they're more likely to remember who we are. And so be invested in other people enough to ask them questions about their story, and watch that over time lead to incredible opportunities for yourself. This is the power of our story. And so I hope you found something of value in this. This is a short, quick, fast episode. Hopefully there was a nugget that made it worth your while. But guys, as always, thank you for listening to the Social Media Mindset Podcast. If you think about it, please go leave a review wherever you listen, Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Audible, wherever. Please consider sharing this video if this impacted you, because I want to get this to the world, because it can help our lives be so much better. And so I appreciate you guys so much. I love you. And we'll be back next week with an actual probably guest with a really cool story of their own that I can't wait to pull out of them. I appreciate you guys. See ya.